Welcome stylists, barbers, isties. You are now tuned into the I'm for Salons Content and Mindset podcast. A place where we break down the mindset and motivation it takes to grow your beauty business. Here's your host, 13-year marketer, world-traveling award-winning artist and musician, the brain behind the brand, Freddie D.
Everybody, on the Content and Mindset podcast, we have to bring amazing guests for you. Today, we have Jacquelyn Rodriguez from Virginia, and she is going to bring you so much knowledge. I was just talking to her before the show started, and we just got to get started. We just got to get started. Jacquelyn, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much first to have me on the podcast. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Jacqueline Rodriguez, and I am the Clean Beauty Business Coach. I'm in Virginia. I own a holistic salon, and I've been in the industry for, I want to say it's too long, but 24 years.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. So please tell me, how did you find yourself within the beauty industry?
You know, funniest thing is, never really thought, like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I wanted to do something creative, and I loved the beauty industry, but I never really felt like I fit in. I grew up with vitiligo, and I was just kind of bullied and teased for the way I looked when I was younger. So
Mhm.
I don't really know how I stumbled upon the beauty industry, except for in high school, I decided, cosmetology sounded like a fun thing to do,
Mhm.
and it was creative.
Mhm.
So I kind of get into that and just I fell in love with it. I think it was the people, the interaction, the constant creativity day in and day out. For me, even just being a stylist in another salon, you still are very much an entrepreneur. You've got
Mhm.
to work your business and talk to people, and the difference we actually have behind the chair is so massive.
Mhm. Okay, I love that. And there's something that you said within there that might prompt a deep question from me. If it's too deep, you don't have to answer it, but
Sure.
what were some struggles that you saw in beauty school that you had to overcome? Because I know that a lot of our community, either they're fresh out of beauty school or they say to me, they're like, I didn't learn anything in beauty school. And I always want to touch topics with people who've been in the industry and talk about how beauty school has changed and if there are any similarities.
Oh, yeah, so many struggles in beauty school. I think the biggest thing for me at that time was I really think that it was an industry that people kind of look down on. Like,
Mhm.
I know that we have some of that now, but 24 years ago it was even more.
Mhm.
So people kind of look down on, oh, that's cool. You're gonna go be a cosmetologist, a
Mhm.
hairstylist. Good for you. Like, that's a cool backup plan. And when I was going through school, a lot of the people in class didn't really care. So
Mhm.
I was the only one who really cared.
Mhm.
And I really think from my class, I'm the only one that like continued.
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest struggles. And yeah, back then I didn't know what I didn't know. So I
Mhm.
didn't know that we learned very, very little. I
Mhm.
mean, I was very fortunate to have an inn with a salon near me, so I learned a lot of my skills from just real life day-to-day stuff. And unfortunately, I don't think that the education has changed much.
Nope.
Um, so that's really unfortunate, but that's kind of why I do what I do now, is to
Mhm.
help that along.
Okay, okay. So tell us a little bit more about what you do now. You said you are a holistic salon owner. So tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, well, being in the industry for so long and seeing how super toxic it can be. So not just the products, like it's kind of the mindset, the mentality, how we're treated, how we treat ourselves. That was kind of a wake-up call for me, especially when I had kids.
Mhm.
The whole reason I got into holistic was because I had little babies,
Mhm.
and I did start with the product knowledge of just like cleaning out my home.
Mhm.
And I was living like this clean, non-toxic life at home and then
Mhm.
walking in to the salon day in and day out. And I really noticed like how I felt.
Mhm.
I felt different when I was at home. I had a clear mind. I
Mhm.
didn't feel sluggish. When I went to the salon, I had like these slight headaches and I just
Mhm.
thought they were normal, right? Like this is just, again, we don't know what we don't know.
Mhm.
So I decided that I had to do something about it. And that's
Mhm.
when I was opening my salon. I started doing a ton of research
Mhm.
on how to go more non-toxic. And really, I say I opened Pandora's box and it was like no turning back.
Mhm.
I went deep into how can I start making changes? And
Mhm.
that's how I created the holistic salon. And
Mhm.
for me, a holistic doesn't mean just products. It really is taking care of ourselves. Like myself
Mhm.
and the staff, we
Mhm.
take breaks. We don't work 12-hour days. We don't work 7 days a week.
Mhm.
We are not like hustling.
Mhm.
We're so past that hustle culture.
Mhm.
And we really do look at start to finish.
Mhm.
How can we make a difference? So, reducing the toxins, recycling, giving back, helping reduce our carbon footprint. That's what
Mhm.
holistic means to me.
I love that. I love that. And
Thank
some people in our community, this is a question from them. They have unique businesses. Like they're one of our stylists that she specializes in dematting people's hair. And
you.
that's
Yeah.
one of her true passions. And with something like a holistic salon, I know that you've probably had to take different approaches to your marketing to get customers in. So could you talk about that differentiation factor and how that takes into play with bringing people through your salon?
Oh, for sure. When you set yourself apart and you are different, that is like the magic sauce of being able to bring people in, right? Because when I was getting into the industry, like literally, I worked for a company that was like, you have to take every single client.
Mhm.
If you turn away a client, you actually get fired. Like, this
Mhm.
is insane to me. But when I started really focusing on what is my purpose,
Mhm.
what are my values? Like what really aligns with me?
Mhm.
That's why I created the holistic. Once I did that and I started educating my clients
Mhm.
and really honing in on the messaging online, on my website, social media,
Mhm.
everywhere, I actually started attracting clients who felt the same way, right? Because
Mhm.
there are people out there who think the same way you do, want the same things that you do, but they have nowhere to go. So when you start putting it out there, it's a magic
Mhm.
thing that really happens and people start finding you and they're not only good clients, but they are loyal and they
Mhm.
fall in love. So that's really, that's one of the pieces that I teach in my holistic academy is because we've got to start setting ourselves apart. And when you do,
Mhm.
you attract the absolute best clients that are your raving fans. And
Mhm.
not only that, but then you love your day in and out. Like you don't have those people on your books that we've all had them
Mhm.
where you look at your book and you're like, oh, not again. They drain you, you're exhausted. When you specialize and you put your mission out there, you attract the people who just light you up. So when I leave the salon every day,
Mhm.
I'm not drained. I might be tired, because we have some physical work, but
Mhm.
I'm not drained. Like I am fulfilled from interacting with all of our
Mhm.
clients.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leads me to another question of what would you say would be some tips and tricks for our stylists, our barbers, our STs, anyone in the beauty industry to start dropping out some of that madness and start bringing it in and realizing what truly makes them happy within doing this craft?
Yes. So for me, I really think getting quiet. Block out all this. We're constantly connected to social
Mhm.
media, to everything. We see what everybody else is doing, and have this like FOMO, fear of missing out from what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I really need to like hone in and see what is aligning with me, I get
Mm-hmm.
quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of meditation. I, take walks or, listening to even like binaural beats where it just allows me to tune in to what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how I start.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet everything down and then see what would my business look like if I
Mm-hmm.
had no outside influence, nobody telling me you can or can't do this, or you've got to be a balayage specialist, or, all of the things that we hear.
Mm-hmm.
What would it look like to me? Once you start looking at like your ideal business, whether that's working 2 days a week or 5 days a week, if it's working like, 3 days a month, like we really have so much flexibility in creating these businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, dreaming, letting yourself dream, take a look at it, and then start going backwards. Like, how would you build that? What key elements is going to set you up to be able to create that dream business? Because everything is possible. This is one of the industries that we don't have a 9 to 5. We don't have to make it look one way or the other. It literally can be whatever you want.
That's magic right there. So
Yes, it
I
is.
gotta ask, you're a motivational person. Is there a motivational quote that lives with you and that resonates with you heavy?
There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that really kind of just comes to mind is seriously, anything's possible. It is all about dreaming. If you can dream it, it can come true.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. And what is next for you in this life? So you've mastered so many things and you're helping so many people. So what is the plan from here?
I have so many plans.
Mm-hmm.
I am far from done. I really do want to support so many stylists in creating these holistic, sustainable businesses that create that freedom, profit, and impact. So I'm just getting started on all of that. I do have the Holistic Salon Academy where I bring in stylists or salon owners rather, um, and I teach them my whole plan, my whole blueprint, and help them start finding that freedom. And then I'm also a co-founder of the Green Beauty Community, which we are all about empowering, educating stylists, salon owners, anybody in the beauty industry on green, clean, and sustainable practices.
So are you actively behind the chair still?
Yes, I am. I am only behind the chair 2 days a week, and I run the salon and then I run the coaching business. So I'm busy. I've got a lot of things going on, but I do love my clients, and it's not something that I'll be able to do forever so that I can actually impact more people in the industry. But for right now, I am behind the chair still.
And is there a certain style that you love to create for your clients?
I'm into more natural, although I'm green, right? But
Yeah, yeah, that's why I asked.
I love being green, but I don't love doing fashion colors, funny enough.
Mm,
I like the everyday lived in type of look. We have a lot of clients who, they want more low maintenance, but they
mhm,
still want to feel beautiful and up to date and modern, which is awesome because, especially when you're looking at holistic, so many people like think of, granola or hippie, if you will, like those types of looks. And there is such a beautiful balance that we're able to create here.
mm. All right. And as we land this plane, what is something motivational that you would have for our stylists or our salon owners at home to take home?
Ah, these are such good questions. I really do think like it all comes back to the dreaming. Like I see so many people in the industry that just kind of follow what everyone else is doing because they see success. I challenge you to really like look outside of that. What actually lights you up? Even if it is just niche down so much like to one thing, if you could do that every single day, would you be happy?
Mhm.
And then how do you start making that happen for yourself? So dream bigger. Dream, like let yourself just imagine what the possibilities are.
Mm. Everybody at home hear that? Let yourself imagine what the possibilities could be because you truly never know how far you could take this career until you try.
Oh, yes. And we can go so, so far, like further than we've even been able to see.
And do you ever speak on stage or anything like that? Because I was going to say, you got the motivational speaker vibes going.
I do. I actually speak on quite a few stages, and I do a lot of podcasting and interviews and articles and stuff like that as well. So I've had the pleasure this year to speak on 3 stages, 2
Hmm.
stages. Yeah. So, and I hope for more next year.
Okay. And then where can everybody at home follow you, figure out what more they can get from you, and then also learn from you?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram. So the Clean Beauty Biz Coach is where you can find me. I'm always on Instagram. Like if you DM me, it's really me responding. I love being on there. And then for education, I have 2 amazing platforms. One, I have my podcast, which is the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint Podcast. And you can find me on YouTube or anywhere else that you stream your podcast.
Mm.
And then I really encourage you to go to the Green Beauty community and sign up, take a look at all of the clean, green, and sustainable education because we put a ton of stuff out there.
What would you say would be the starter tips of trying to transform your salon into a holistic salon?
Yes. So starting out, it really is taking it one step at a time. When I got started, it was like I said, I opened Pandora's box and it was all of these things. So I immediately, because I'm an action taker and I kind of dive off the deep end. So I immediately started trying to implement all of these different practices and I almost burned myself out. So what I teach my students in the academy is to really like list out. And I actually have a full database
Mhm.
of incentives and things that you can put into place. And what I teach them is to go through there, see which ones are the easiest. Like we want these quick wins, right? How can you change one thing quickly and it motivates you to keep going?
Mhm.
Implement that one thing, let it sit, right? Don't try to do too many things at once. And then start putting an action plan together of how you're going to continue to implement things over the next few months, few years, because some of the things we can go really small and really big, anywhere from just changing, your hand soap to a cleaner hand soap in the salon,
Mhm.
all the way to having a solar panel um, grid for your salon.
Mhm.
Those take different timelines and different amount of money. So seeing where you can really get started and have those quick wins.
Okay, okay. And I got another question for you. Do you meditate?
Oh, for sure.
So, a lot of people in our community definitely don't understand the value of meditation. Could you please just talk on why you meditate within your daily salon life or your daily business life?
There are so many reasons that I meditate. And I first want to say I understand because before I started meditating, I honestly thought one, that meditation was just like for people who could quiet their mind and were like these, super peaceful, intuitive people. And I literally would go down a rabbit hole in like 2.5 seconds of my thoughts.
Hmm.
So I really just didn't think I could. And then I started to I committed. First off, I committed to 30 days. Whatever that looked like, I committed to 30 days. And I said, okay, let me do a guided meditation. So I didn't have to like quiet my mind. So I started with guided meditation. And if I can do it, and ask anybody who knows me, my family thought I was crazy because there's no way that I could sit there for like, 5 to, I've even meditated for like 3 and 4 hours. No, actually, one day I did like 6 hours
Mhm.
straight. Anyway, that's a whole long story. But the reason I do it is because that is where I am able to really tune in to what's important to me. It's where I become creative. I have creative ideas. Just like people say all the time in the shower. Well,
Mhm.
the reason the shower works is because you're not connected to anything. You are you're kind of in a meditative state. You have that peace and quiet, and you're not being bombarded by things on the outside. So it's the same idea, but meditation can look however it looks to you, whether that is just being quiet in the shower or taking a long walk and just noticing things. Or if it is sitting and actually meditating for a few hours or 10 minutes, there's so many different ways to do it. And it is the most beneficial thing, especially as a salon owner, because we have challenges. I mean, you know how it is. Like
Mhm.
there's day in and day out struggles, things that we have to deal with. When I started meditating, the way that I dealt with things in my life
Mhm.
completely changed. I was no longer reactive. I was able to, even in the face of like, I had this one instance where I literally got told that I had to move my salon, my entire business,
Mhm.
in 5 weeks because they sold the building. Yeah. I had to find a whole new location and like physically move everything, uproot my entire business because of meditation. I mean, I had my moment. I was angry. And then I was able to look at it and say, okay, why is this happening? What is happening for me? Because I really do believe everything, even the crappy stuff, happens for you.
Mhm.
Meditation helped me get to that point. And in 2 weeks, I was able to find a better location, larger location that set my business on a whole new track that I couldn't have pictured if this specific instance would not have happened.
I love that answer. I love the answer. And I got one last question that I thought of. So, we talked a lot about your salons. We talked a lot about you doing hair. It's from my understanding that you've also created your own makeup line, correct?
Well, so I did have a makeup line. I actually closed that down this year.
Okay. Okay.
And the reason behind it, so I said earlier that I am an action taker.
Mhm.
I jump into things regardless of how I know, like I don't know how it's all going to work out.
Mhm.
And I did the makeup line probably, I want to say 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And it was a lot of fun. And it really made sense because we were doing a lot of bridal.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to launch an entire line the
Mhm.
way it needed to be. And because I had it for so many years, like my values and my understanding of what clean beauty is changed.
Mhm.
And there was a crossroad where I'm like, okay, I either have to make some massive changes and
Mhm.
like reformulate and relaunch,
Mhm.
or I put all my heart and soul into the education, the academy, and
Mhm.
all of that. And I had to listen to my heart and go with how can I actually change the industry?
Mhm.
And so I take on projects quickly, and I also learn how like sometimes it's just that was a chapter and
Mhm.
now it's time to move on.
I love that because I always tell everybody it's not about what life throws at you. It's about how you pivot in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I have learned how to pivot like nobody's business. I mean, we all have had to, right?
mhm,
Especially with the pandemic and everything. Like, we're all starting to see that we've got to change the way we've been doing things.
mhm,
And it can be really easy.
mhm,
It can be simple. Let me take
mhm.
that back. It's not easy because we all know, like, being in business, being in the industry is not the easiest thing, but it can be simple. And it's really paring down and seeing what's important and then just stop listening to everybody.
Mhm.
Like, if it doesn't resonate with you, if it makes you feel crappy, if it is stressful for you, see what you can do to change it.
Perfect. I truly, truly, truly want to thank you so much for your time today and putting all of this knowledge into our minds because without educators like you, our community wouldn't be here. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast. I love it.
And if there's one more time that you could say where we could find you at so that everybody at home can actually write it down and follow right now.
Yes, follow me on Clean Beauty Biz Coach, and that's on Instagram, and the YouTube channel, which is my podcast, the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint podcast.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hey there! Are you tired of spending countless hours creating content with no tangible results? Have you had enough of watching your ad dollars go down the drain? Are you left scratching your head, wondering what to do after taking that perfect snapshot? Well, listen up. We have some exciting news for you. The team at I'm For Salons is rolling out a special offer exclusively for our podcast listeners. Guess what? We're offering you free access to our course community. Yes, you heard it right, absolutely FREE. This typically costs $200 per year, but we believe in empowering you with the right tools and knowledge. It's simple. Use the code FREE2023 to gain free access. Just head over to our website, log in, and introduce yourself. We're all about sharing daily content tips, tricks, and growth techniques. So why wait? Let's kickstart your journey to success together. Your time to shine is now.
Thank you for tuning into the Content and Mindset podcast brought to you by the dedicated team at I'm For Salons LLC. Make sure to follow us on socials at I'm For Salons or on the web at imforsalons.com. Stay motivated, friends. See you next episode.